Broom ball.
Oh man, it was fucking crazy.
All
Yo,
right,
I'm such a
three.
baller too.
Okay.
Oh,
No,
go
you'll
ahead.
give it to us on
I'll
air.
tell it.
Three.
Yep.
Actually, give me some silence because I never give myself enough silence for noise reduction.
Penis, 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 penis.
All right, three, two, one. Hello and welcome to the Morningscape podcast. Here to preview the Tuesday, December 6th slate. Shout out to my mom as it's her birthday, December 6th. Shout out Mrs. Moody. I'm your host, Matt Moody, joined by Doug, fresh off of a broom ball championship. How you doing, Doug?
I'm feeling great today. Yesterday, as Matt mentioned, I finally, in my 7th season playing for the Legion of Broom in the OSU Club Broomball League, we took home the championship. It was long awaited. We've been upset. We've been the first seed upset 3 seasons in a row. So it was good to finally take home the crown. But dominant. Your boy had 3 assists on the 4 goals scored. Playing defense, holding it down at the point. Yeah, it was a great game. And between our semifinals and our finals game, I played in the All-Star game and scored the only goal. So I pretty much did it all yesterday. And yeah, I'm psyched to play some real fantasy hockey now.
Just your everyday Eric Carlson over here. Uh, Carlson had a goal, 2 assists, 5 shots, and 3 blocks today, I believe. So, you know, Doug Levy, if you need a guy for your broomball league, he's for hire. Can put up some Carlson-like stats for you.
That's pretty much it. I do it all out there. I played 3 games in one night and still just raring to go. So yeah, I'm going to be a free agent after this next season is up too. So if anybody's looking to pick up a broom ball,
Maybe at Virginia
uh,
Tech,
semi-pro,
perhaps.
yeah, in the Virginia area, I'll be around.
um, but yeah, anyways, we have a quite large 9-game slate to on Tuesday. We're looking at a nearly 15,000 person forecheck, a $4 game, which is about 6,000 people bigger than Monday's slate was. So that's nice to see. We have the $33 line change, which is, that's probably the premier tournament each week. So hopefully I can. Well, I didn't win any tickets to it this time, but the last time I did, I had a pretty good showing. So maybe I'll throw in a bullet. We have the nice quarter arcade for Doug. Um, Got to be jamming in those lineups. Um, so, yeah, I mean, there's something for everyone on this slate. We have a lot of good matchups between some good teams, some bad teams square off. Should be a good one. So I'll run through the 9 games we have on the slate, just so that if you're driving to work, what we're dealing with tonight. So we have Edmonton at Buffalo, Florida at Philly, Rangers at the Islanders, the Battle of New York, Vancouver at New Jersey, Colorado at Nashville, Detroit at Winnipeg, Montreal at the Blues, Arizona at the Bleach Hawks, and Calgary at Dallas. So, some fireworks could go off tomorrow, much as like we saw tonight. I mean, we saw 13 goals in Pittsburgh, Ottawa, and I'm thinking one of these games might take a run at that. I don't know. Do you have any games that you're looking at, maybe with high goal totals projected?
Yeah, no, I think the game that I am going to be looking the most at will probably be that Winnipeg Detroit game. I mean, I know that just Winnipeg, when Winnipeg's in the game, they tend to have a lot of shots, but Detroit's been really hot too, and I've been really on that first line anyway. But I think that the projections really like that game, and I think I'm gonna go with it. I have no reason not to at this point. Detroit first line this last week, so I'm still confident. Who do you think is who are you going to be keeping an eye out for?
Well, see, it's really interesting because I have 3 games that are like projected up pretty high, and that's being Buffalo, Edmonton, as you know, the defenses are just brutal on both ends of the ice there. Chicago playing at home against Arizona on a back-to-back. Chicago, probably has the upper hand on Arizona. I would not be surprised to see them be the biggest favorites of the slate. And lastly, right in that same ballpark is the Islanders at Rangers, or other way around. So Rangers at Islanders. All 3 games are projected right around the same for me. But I think if I had to pick one right now, I would actually kind of look to Buffalo Edmonton just because I think that, McDavid's going to do McDavid things, and Eichel obviously wants to do Eichel things with McDavid in the building. So I'm definitely excited to see what sort of plays we can dig up from these projected high pace affairs.
I was going to say Buffalo Edmonton is the highest combined expected goals total that I have on the whole board. So yeah, that's probably where I'm going to be focusing the rest of my money, the rest of my 25-cent lineups on.
Cool. So let's move over to center. We did just talk about some of these games. Do you have a high price center in mind? Maybe, a guy above 7K?
Yeah, my high price pick is going to be John Tavares. I say him all the time, but yeah, he's the guy on that first line for New York. I like New York's chances in this one, and if New York against New York, so I like the Islanders' chances in the game, and I think that if they're going to do well, it's always because of Tavares, and yeah, he's just always involved. So I like him. I think he's a solid high of a price, and last 3 games he's at 7.55 Corsi, and he shoots the puck a lot, and he's always involved. So I think the high price centers are not in my opinion, not a ton of really great super high price centers, but I think he's always a really good bet. Who do you have?
Yeah, well, first about Tavares, that's a strong take, and I think, even though it's not a real road game for the Rangers, they're only minus 130 favorites. In some places, they're even down at minus 120. So I think the Rangers have kind of been vulnerable as of late. So there's definitely something to the Islanders' overall projection, I think, and Tavares is obviously the source of pretty much all of the Islanders' offensive output. So that's probably, the strongest take I have in this range. Obviously, McDavid at 8.4 has GPP winning upside on, just about any night. So I don't really think much more needs to be said. Buffalo's missing likely 4 of their defensemen, and Bogosian is definitely out. Kulikov is definitely out, as is who's the other guy? Okay, Fadoon's also out, and Josh Georges. So they're basically missing an entire top 4 worth of players. So it's Ristolainen and the scrubs left to mop up. So McDavid's a strong play, as is Eichel. But going a little bit cheaper than that, actually, to oppose you at the center position, I like Derek Stepan a lot. I think that this game shoots out, like we've said, and Stepan is playing on the first line with Zuccarello and Kreider and getting first power play minutes as well. So I just really like that line a lot. And before the last game, I thought they were an interesting play, but I looked and they were all just kind of slumping, and they busted out of that slump on Saturday against Carolina. I mean, Stepan himself had a goal, 2 assists, and 5 shots. He put up 10 DraftKings points. That's, that's a pretty good night if I'd say so. So consider that slump busted. Do you have any more high price centers you wanted to mention, or do you want to bring us down to the mid tier?
I don't have any more high price guys that I want to mention. I'll bring it down to my most obvious play. Me and Sahil Sood would have to go in on this play and say Henrik Zetterberg is the best mid-price center option. I know he's probably not everybody's best center, but I mean, the guy has the residuals. Like, he shoots at the puck a lot. He's not too expensive. He plays on a line with Mantha and Tatar right now, who are, and I think that line's really working for them, and they're gonna stick with it. But yeah, I like Zetterberg a lot. What do you think about that?
Yeah, the matchup for Detroit, I'm a little bit scared off of just because Winnipeg's now at full strength. Well, actually, Mark Scheifele may be out again. I think word is, though, that he should not be out for too long. But, if he does play, then basically you're looking at their full team. Brian Little coming back does a lot to their 5-on-5 defense and to their penalty kill. So the price, I think for Zetterberg, the price is there to make him like a viable play. I mean, his production has just simply been better than that of a guy who's 5.5. So I think for cash, like, he's a good play. I don't know if I would, I'll have to see if Scheifele's out. I think he gets a bump in projection, but if Scheifele plays, I might have to look elsewhere. But yeah, that said, for me in this range, I want to take advantage of Dallas while they're trying to figure whatever it is out. And with that, I want to, I'm looking at Calgary, and Michael Backlund jumps out at me. He didn't have a huge role in their blowout of the Ducks last game. They won 8-3, and he had 1 assist. But that doesn't really deter me too much. Like, he's still on the line that's been the most productive for Calgary with Frolik and Kachuk. So I think I'm going to kind of zig while the others zag, and they're going to go chase Gaudreau, who's now back, and, Monahan, because Monahan-Gaudreau is such a popular stack, but they're not even lined up together right now. We have Gaudreau playing with Bennett and Chiasson, and Monahan with Brouwer and Versteeg. So I kind of like the stability of the Frolik, Backlund, Kachuk line, and Backlund's been shooting a lot recently as well. So I think that he makes for a pretty strong cash play in this range.
Yeah,
Your thoughts on that?
Corsi. He had 11 Corsi on, what was it, Friday, and 6 shots. So, I mean, that's crazy. But yeah, no, I know I've been a proponent recently of that line with Tkachuk for Calgary. What is that? Who's on that line now? It was Brouwer.
It's Kachuk and Frolik now with Gaudreau back.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So the line is a little switched up from when I was talking about it before. But yeah, I mean, I still like that. I mean, Backlund, obviously, like you said, I don't think that a lot of people are going to be on him or that line, but there's definitely some sneaky plays in that Calgary squad right now, especially with people correlation where there isn't. So, I like that play a lot. Do you want to go down to low price centers?
Yeah, a guy who I know DJ and I talked about yesterday as, not really getting the ice time is Christian Dvorak for Arizona. Going on a back-to-back, in Chicago isn't the best matchup, but for 3.1, let's see. Wait. Oh, yeah, okay. I was looking at, they played Columbus, and he got 9 minutes, and I was like, oh, wait, that was tonight. But no, they actually played Saturday as well. But tonight, he got 15 minutes plus power play time. So, I think that he's a bit riskier, but the difference between, projecting 10 minutes for a guy and projecting 15 minutes for a guy is significant. I mean, as you can figure, because that's 50% more ice time. But he's a somewhat talented player, and he's playing with Max Domi, who is a bona fide talented player. So I think there is some merit in punting with him. I don't think he's cash viable at all. Do you have any, maybe like a cash viable play in this range?
I'd just like to say that Max Domi who is the son of Ty Domi, was who we named our dog after. So he's got talent if he's dog name worthy. We named our last dog Ty after Ty Domi. So just a side on Max Domi's obvious skills. But yeah, the guy I like in the lower price range is Ryan Strome. He's 3,900. He's playing. He played line 2 last game with Shane Prince and Ladd, but he saw significant power play time with the first power play line with Tavares. So I mentioned Tavares earlier, but Strome do correlate nicely because of that power play line, and Strome's he's got a pretty solid floor, I think. He's had at least 3 Corsi in all of his last 5 games, at least 2 shots in all of his last 5 games too. So he's getting the puck to the net. He's not necessarily playing with Tavares, but he's seeing time with Tavares too. So you can have both of them at center and still get some of that correlation. But what do you think about that?
Yeah, that's probably where I'm gonna go for cash games. Definitely, if I can't fit in Tavares, as I say this a lot, but I don't think center's significantly. I don't think it's very strong tonight. There's no Pittsburgh guys, there's no Logan Couture, so some of the main guys that I just kind of snap pivot to, like when I'm in a crunch, we just don't have them tonight. So yeah, I really like Tavares, and Strome is a nice, cheap way to get Tavares exposure. So I like that play a lot. One more center who I wanted to mention, Evander Kane is still center eligible on DraftKings. And like I said, I like the matchup a lot for Buffalo, even playing on a back-to-back. Kane had a little bit of a disappointing night against the Capitals, but he's still playing, a ton of minutes, still playing with Eichel and Reinhart and getting power play 2 times. So I think that he is firmly in play for, he's a top 5 in iCorsi per 60 over the last 4 seasons. Like he's behind only Hoffman, Skinner, Ovi, and Pacioretty. So like he's gonna find his game. He's gonna, get those shots on net because the Corsi attempts are there for him now. Like he's really starting to heat up in that respect. So one last center I wanted to mention. Do you want to get us started at winger?
Yeah, I just want to mention, like, people are, especially the people on DraftKings, at least how I see it, is it's a lot of what have you done for me lately sort of picking. And because Kane hasn't done as well, I think it's important to look back at historically how good he's been doing to know, that's a better predictor of how well he's going to do than just what has he done in the last couple of games. He might have had a bad night tonight, but even though it shouldn't affect his ownership and things like that tomorrow, it will. So I don't think that.
Yeah, I mean, if you want concrete evidence of that, tonight on the Monday slate, Alex freaking Wenberg was the highest owned player on the DraftKings slate. He was like 30% in tournaments. I'm sorry, but he's a guy who's shooting 20%. Like he has less than a shot per game, I think, in his entire career. But he's found a ton of shooting luck, and I'm sure he matched tonight because actually I don't think he did, but definitely there's a recency bias inherent in DFS. So don't fall prey to the opposite of recency bias, I guess. Like, just be unbiased in your decision making, and that's going to be positive EV for you.
Well, I mean, it's still recency bias, even if it's what they have done poorly recently. But yeah, no, I agree with that. All right, I'll move on to centers, but I like the most high-priced center is Taylor Hall. That whole first line for New Jersey, I think, has some good stacking potential from what I'm seeing. I like their price isn't very high to get that whole line if you wanted it, and I think Hall's that line. He's been playing really well. He just came back, didn't he?
What's that? Sorry, you cut out. Back 2 games ago. So.
Okay, yeah, but I mean he's been playing well. His price is only 6.7. I think that he's a great play. I think he's got um, a high floor, but he also has a lot of upside. He's a guy who scores a lot of goals. Um, a number one pick, and then I would also say that if for GPPs, I think that that whole first line of him and who's out there with him, Zaka, and is it still Zaka?
Let me check it out. I
I'll
didn't think
look.
it was Zaka,
Oh,
but I
okay,
do like
I
that
can look
matchup a
for it while
lot
you go
with.
over yours.
No, I'm looking at it right now, but I do like the that matchup a
Okay.
lot for like some sneaky upside. Um, both teams have been playing really, really poor defensively as of late. Um, and so looking at the seasonal data, I have this as about like a middle of the pack game. But when you segregate it down to just the last 10 games and, then further to just the last 5 games, the game gets more and more high paced. So basically what that tells me is that, these teams have either A, been, clicking offensively as of late, as both of them have, or both of them have been struggling defensively, or some combination of that. So picking up on a trend like that, and that this game is just going to be like a death mine in most DFS players' eyes. So New Jersey at home, I think that's a pretty strong call with Taylor Hall, and I think he's definitely cash viable. His line mates, did you look him up?
Yeah, Henrique and Parento last game. He did play sometime with Zaka, but not. It was their line was definitely Henrique, Parento, and Hall.
Okay. So he
Um,
sticks
but
with Henrique on the power play, I do believe. So that right there is a
yes,
good stack. Let's see, Henrique is
I like
4.7.
Parento's position too, but
Yeah. But Henrique at 4.7 at a pretty weak center position. I think he's a decent play as well, especially for GPPs. My expensive winger, I really like Tyler Sagan. Um, like he's just boss, and for whatever reason, his price has gone down. Um, he's had some struggles in terms of just like points, but the shot floor, it's still there. He's still attempting a crazy amount of shots. One of the league's best shot generators, and he's back with Jamie Benn. So I have no problems with him. If you can fit him up at 7.8, he's my favorite play. I think Patrick Kane's going to be the chalkiest, um, going against Arizona at home. But I mean, as we know of Kane, he's kind of like in that McDavid mold where he tries to keep the puck on his stick for too long and make a play. And yeah, when he makes a pretty pass, it gets him a nice assist, but he doesn't have quite as much goal upside as a guy like Sagan does, who just rips shots from everywhere. And he certainly doesn't have as much of a shooting floor. So, any thoughts on
yeah, no, I have.
wingers we didn't mention up in the upper tier?
I have Sagan as the highest projected player for wingers right now. So yeah, I think he's a great play. I'll probably have some, or I'll have a lot of him if I do play.
Very
Want to go
nice.
on to? You want to go on to the middle?
Yeah, a couple of guys I mentioned with the Backlund. Gaudreau is back for Calgary, and so going against Dallas, he's a fine play. Like Gaudreau is just really good at hockey, and I think in the most prevalent news of the day, Jaden Schwartz in practice on Monday was lined up with Tarasenko and Alex Steen. I I love that line. The Schwartz Latera Tarasenko line was dominant. So replacing Latera with confirmed awesome hockey player in Alex Steen, I think makes those three a fantastic play. Um, Even against Montreal, I mean, we've seen Montreal really struggle to, Carey Price can't bail them out every single game. So, just furthers my point that, don't fade teams just because of goalies, as any goalie can have an off night, and any bad goalie from an NHL standpoint can have an awesome night. So I like Shorts a lot for GPPs. as his shot rate over the last 10 days is actually behind only Alex Ovechkin in the entire NHL among forwards. He's attempting 6.5 shots per game. So, yeah, I like him a lot.
Yeah, that sounds like that's a great play. I think, excuse me, for GPPs especially, he's a great play. I mean, going up against Price, sometimes it can be tough to play him or to look at that in cash. But I think in GPPs especially, I mean, Price only has to have one bad night for you to do well. So I think that's a really good play. I like Nikolai Ehlers for Winnipeg. I think that he is in a really good spot. He is, hold on, just pulling this up. Yeah, I mean, he's
5.4.
Yeah, 5.4. Playing first line. I think he's a good value and he's a good play. I think there's going to be a lot of shots in that game. He tends to shoot the puck a lot. I mean, I guess it depends on what the Lions. You were saying Scheifele, if Scheifele's going to play or not.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I honestly have no clue. And if Scheifele plays, then I think you'll see the power play units get like completely reworked. As last game, the power play, the power play that was on the ice the most and the power play that scored actually was Little, Stafford, Wheeler, Truba, and Bufflin. And I don't think that Line A's not going to be on the first unit. And I have to imagine that if Scheifele comes back, it'll be between Ehlers and Line A. So yeah, I do agree. If Scheifele's back, I think Ehlers is a great play because there's just no reason for him to be cheaper than he's 2,000 cheaper than both Scheifele and Line A, and he puts up about the same amount of shots, and he's just as involved offensively as those guys are. Like, he's a super skilled player. He just hasn't quite gotten the shooting luck. So once that turns in his favor, like, he's going to be a goal scoring monster in addition to the floor he gets from, passing to Line A and Scheifele on a regular basis.
No, yeah, I think you hit that right on the head there. He's just too cheap to pass up right now. I think he's a good, would you say he's probably a good cash option tomorrow?
Yeah, no, I like him a lot for cash.
He's playing. Yeah.
So, another guy right in that same range, Josh Bailey at 5.1, playing with Tavares. I think he's a guy I wanted to mention as being a solid play, especially if you can't get Tavares exposure. If you can't get Tavares himself, he's good exposure. And my top play at the wing position in its entirety is Kevin Fiala. He is 4,000 going against Colorado for Nashville. Last game he played on the first line, he actually led the entire team in ice time. I certainly did not expect this, but he's playing on a line with Ribeiro and Forsberg. Power play 1 as well. So we don't really know on a nightly basis what Laviolette's going to do for Nashville. Like, he kind of switches up the lines, switches up the power play units, but it's definitely a situation to monitor for like morning skate.
Yeah, just got to pay attention to the lines in the morning and see what they look like. I mean, as much as it's probably not as fun, I think it definitely gives you a huge advantage, especially on teams like that where the lines change more frequently. It's a huge advantage to know exactly where everybody's going to play, might not, and it gives you more time to think about it.
Yeah, over the last 3 games, Fiala's averaged 5 shots per game. That's pretty good. So, like, for 4K for a guy who's getting anywhere in the neighborhood of 17 to 19 minutes, like, that's slam dunk, especially against Colorado, who just their play has fallen off of a freaking cliff, man. Like, they got real bad real fast. It sucks because I like them a lot too. McKinnon's a GOAT. They just lost Eric Johnson, arguably their top defenseman, to a broken leg for probably 2 to 3 months. So times are tough in Colorado. So Nashville at home, Fiala's a great play to open up salary to pay up at the wing position. And yeah, any other cheap wingers that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I guess I'll just quickly mention Anthony Mantha playing with Zetterberg and Tatar. I think he's still cheap enough at 5,000, and he's playing first power play time. So yeah, I'll just mention him. I think if you're gonna take Zetterberg, you should take him as well. But
Yeah, I might be reaching the point of selling high on Mantha. Like we've seen his price skyrocket over the last little bit. I mean, he was 3K like 5 games ago. So, it's I think there's still a little bit of GPP upside left in there, as he is a really good player. Um, but I think in terms of like points per dollar, I think the matchup's tough enough to have me looking elsewhere a little bit cheaper at wing.
all right.
Okay, let's see. All right, a couple of news bits I just wanted to bring up. Florida plays in Philly on a back-to-back, and they were in Boston. And in that game, Marchessault was a scratch. And with Marchessault scratched, Dennis Malgin played on the first line with Barkov and Yager, and actually got power play one time as well. He is 3.4 on DraftKings, and I know the sim liked him. Do you have any idea like what sort of stats he had that the sim liked, or
I can look and see, but yeah, no, he definitely. Yeah, we were just talking about it, and I didn't know what it was about him that the sim like, but I can look and see what it was looking at.
Yeah, sure. So if you look that up, the last guy I wanted to mention at the wing position is Tobias Reeder. He's another guy who also played tonight, but he also played, surprise first line minutes with Handel and Rabada, and he actually scored. So, Reeder's just a solid player. I looked it up over the last 4 years. He's had a iCourse above 15, iCourse per 60 above 15, and league average is about 12 to 13. So like he's an above average shot producer playing elite minutes and, getting power play time as well. So I like him a lot, and as well as I think Chicago's massively overrated. So did you look up Malgin?
Yeah, so I was just looking back in here. We had Mulgin when we went in and tried to update some of the rookie stats. We put in 11 Corsi 4 per 60, which I'm sure is something that Sim liked in a rookie like that. But I was just looking at his actual stats in the season. He's already up at 12 and a half Corsi per 60. So him is probably just a hair under what he could be worth if those numbers do hold true. So, I'm excited about that. I think that he's a good find and a good play there. So cheap if he's going to get that time that he got last game too. I think that, the sim liking him probably is definitely pointing in the right direction there.
Yeah, and I'm just going to pull up the ownerships on the 4-game slate on Reeder and Malgin, as I was really interested by that. Of course, now it's not sorted by when I downloaded it. So, well, let me go back and re-download it. But basically, I was surprised on how lower. DJ and I were talking yesterday about Jacob Vrana in particular. That he was like a great value play, getting second line time, second power play. And I thought people were going to react really quickly to him, like people did with Anthony Mantha, because, the second Mantha was power play 1, line 1. He was something like 45% owned in cash that game or something when he was like 3.1. Yeah. So I thought that,
I remember that.
Yeah, like I thought Vrana would garner a lot of ownership. And actually, we kind of saw something really interesting. Like, Berg was legitimately 30% owned in GPPs. Like, I think that's crazy. That's not what we're here for. Vrana was, Vrana was 9.5% owned. Like I said, his situation, Reader was 11.7%, and Malgin was a paltry 5%. And, obviously the slate's twice as big now. So, there's going to be a ton of plays. Obviously, keep an eye for like newer news. But if you have a feeling on one of these cheap guys, like I absolutely think there's no problem in just locking them in to 100% of your lineups. So, like if you went 100% Mulligan and even, just didn't take anyone else from Florida, like if he gets you like 5 shots or something like that, or just gets you an assist, like you're super happy. So that's just kind of something I noticed. Like there wasn't really chalk in, because if the same sort of value had happened in like the NFL, everyone would know about it. But because it's hockey, there's not quite as much thought going into the research process as there is with the other sports. So
Yeah, it's like what I said earlier about looking at the lines in the morning and see where everybody is. I mean, that information is valuable, but it's even more valuable in hockey than it is in sports like football, because not only do you have that information, but you're one of a select few that do. In football, everybody knows everything as soon as it happens. A perfect economic like system, but here the information is not so well sought after. That my chair just broke.
Succinctly said, Doug. You broke your chair in the beauty.
Yeah.
So, are you gonna make it through the rest of the pod?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna be good. I'll just no, it's not. It was just the very back of the chair is broken now. They set us up with these crappy chairs in this new apartment, and we complained, but they haven't done anything about it. So it falls out like 12 times a day. All right. Do you want me to go down to low price? Are we still on wings? Low price.
Yeah. Do you have any wings left? Because I'm all out.
The only guy I wanted to mention last was Marcus Granlund. Sim Lakes, Vancouver, both lines as value plays. I mean, he's only $3,000, and he's seeing significant time. I don't remember exactly how much, but I like him play. But other than that, I'm pretty much done. Do you want to say anything about that or move on?
Over the last 10 games, Granlund's averaging 17 minutes. Like his role's pretty steady. Power play 2, line 2. So if you need a punt, like a pure punt, and I played him in cash Thursday night when I put up, humble brag, I put up 51 points with a freaking 0 from him and a 0.5 from Adam Lowry. So like you can punt in cash and get away with it. So just kind of like if you need him, like I think that a guy like Malgin is a bit better of a play, like just from sheer upside. But for a floor, like obviously we know Granlund's workload is going to be consistent, so don't feel bad about going with him. So over to defense.
I was just gonna say Granlund. He played 19 minutes in that game that you had him in, and it was like he was invisible on the ice. He had no Corsi attempts. He had no hits. He was hit once. Had no blocks, no anything. Like it was like he wasn't even there. Like he just skated around like behind the play or something, and like just stood around. But then the next game he had 2 shots, 2 hits. Game before he had 3 shots. Like he just took a game off, I guess.
Granlund was carrying his phone around the ice, like updating the DraftKings app. Like, wait, Matt has how many points? Wait, Tarasenko has how many goals? Like,
no, he was those guys that were ahead of you for the Boston qualifier. He was like, not gonna let this happen.
Yeah, the shady backdoor deals of DFS.
Yeah, at least he didn't post in his Twitter profile that he loves DFS.
Zemgus Girgensons, my favorite.
All right, you want to go? All right, we'll go on to D. The best D or the best high price D man that I have on here is Roman Josi. I think that they're in a good spot. He shoots a puck. He blocks the puck a lot too, or he has recently. I can't pull that up, but it's a solid all-around play. I'm not in love with any of the high-priced defensemen on this slate. Again, I'm for value, and I never see that much value in the high-priced D-man just because there's so much less of a chance for them to score. But he did have 7 Corsi 2 games ago and played 30 minutes. So he plays a ton. He had 25, 27, 30 minutes in his last 3. So, yeah, I mean, I think he's definitely choice above 6K, but I'm going to be looking to play some lower price defensemen to try to pay up for guys like Tavares or I don't know, maybe, or Sagan for sure, maybe some McDavid. Who do you have?
Yeah, just I think the reason for like the minutes bump that you're seeing in Yossi is that Ryan Ellis has been out. I don't think he'll be back, but he has been practicing. So long as Ellis is still out, like there's still a ton of ice time to be filled as Ellis plays about 23, 24 minutes a night. And so I think that makes really good plays out of the other natural defensemen who have to kind of scramble to cover him. If I had to pick one of these top guys, I would go Dustin Byfuglien, but I don't really feel strongly about any of these upper tier defensive plays, just because I think that the 3K range is just so full of decent plays that even a good play in the 6K range, like if you make like a 2v2 of like, Sagan and a guy we'll get to later, Jake McCabe, like, and if you compare that to, Byfuglien versus a guy who is 5,100 would be the exact match. So like basically you're looking at Sagan McCabe versus like Bailey and Byfuglien. Like I think I would go Sagan 9 times out of 10. So those sort of like 2v2s are kind of how I'm constructing my cash games as of late, and I just haven't really seen the need to spend up. Of course, I would have loved to spend up for Erik Karlsson today, but so it goes.
Yep. Just couldn't listen to me too much all in one day.
Top projected play on the slate, and I'm like, just gotta jam in Hornqvist into my util. Same price, big difference in output.
Shame on you.
Shame on me. Shame, shame, shame.
All right. So I think the guys that I'm going to be looking at more be in this 4 to 6K and then less than 4K range. But the guy that I like a lot is Troy Stecher. I think it's evened out a little bit more. It had been jumping around a lot, but I mean, he just shoots the puck so much. I mean, for a guy who's only 4.3, I think that his floor is incredible for a defenseman. I mean, his last 5 games, his Corsis have been 8, 6, 5, 9, 6. Like, I mean, the guy just shoots the puck a ton. He's a low price Carlson or something, and he's
I mean, he's really good. And he's also
in 4 out of his last 5 games too. So
yeah, I think he's a really good player. And his price has gone up, but I do think there's still value left to be had, especially in this matchup that I think is a sneaky, maybe not high paced, but definitely like there's going to be scoring chances just because of the sheer ineptitude on both ends of the ice. Like normally when 2 bad hockey teams play each other, there's some bad hockey, and I define bad hockey as on both ways, and just because good hockey teams are coached in this garbage NHL that we now live in to play defense, tighten up the game, make the game boring, go to overtime, get the free point, and then just try for the shootout and get the win there. So it's great fun to watch. That's why I like seeing guys like Eichel and McDavid, just because they make the game fun, man. Like, get off my lawn. I want the game to be fun, like in the Gretzky days.
Yep. You remember them like they were yesterday, right?
Like they were yesterday.
But yeah, Stecher is 17 Corsi per 60 right now, which is
that's insane.
That's just crazy.
Yeah.
Like in the middle too.
All right. The couple of guys I'm really interested in are Ristolainen for the Sabres. I mean, he's only 5.3, and he's just had a really solid floor over the last little bit, and I think that this game's going to be high paced. He's going to be out there against McDavid a lot. He also has no goals on 57 shots this year. That's starting to get into the jam him in until he scores range. It's worked for me with a couple other defensemen this year because, regression to the mean is a real thing. Like, he's going to get a bounce sooner or later. And so I think that while his price continues to drop, or at least to stay in the lower 5K range, like, he's seeing literally 30 minutes a night. And he's attempting over the last 10 days 6.8 shots per game. I think that number will go up after tonight's numbers are factored in. Like, he had a really good game as well tonight. So for a floor, I like him a lot. And lastly, for Colorado, Erik Johnson broke his leg, like I said. That opened up a vacuum of minutes to be filled. And I think that Francois Beauchemin at 4.3 is just far too cheap for the ice time he's going to receive. I mean, we kind of saw that last game where he played 25 minutes and he blocked 3 shots and had 3 shots on net with power play 2 time. So Beauchemin's one of the best in the league at blocking shots, and I don't really know if that's like a title or what, but I think the floor is definitely there. And we've seen last season and earlier this season he was up by 5.5K. So we're getting good value on a guy with the injury to Johnson. So do either of those two guys kind of interest you at all, maybe?
Yeah, no, I can get on board with that. I think that I don't really know. I'd have to look at it. I have to think about it. The D are always tough for me. I'm not sure who I like the most, but I think that Letang is a great play. I mean, I like so much. It's hard to pass that up. So anyone wants to pick?
I don't really have any more notes in the mid tier. Ekholm at 4.1 has been getting power play time for the Predators, and he has an assist in each of the last 2 games, kind of with direct correlation to the fact that he's getting power play time. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. So, cheap defenseman?
Yeah, all right. So, the cheap defenseman I'm going to go with most likely is Jason Demers. He scored a goal today. I have been told to report. And yeah, he's been playing really well recently. He's only 3.4 I'm seeing on here. So, I mean, he's not the best play, but he's had decent Corsi numbers in his most recent games. He's getting good time, and what else I was going to say about him? Yeah, power play too. So yeah, I think he's a good play for 3.4, but I think the guy that I'm going to be looking for is who you wanted to mention.
Yeah, I have Jake McCabe. I mean, I've been just jamming him in every single slate for the last 3 Sabres games now, because playing alongside of Rasmus Ristolainen, he's been seeing just a ton of minutes. I was watching today's game, and with 8 minutes left in the third period, McCabe had already skated 24 minutes against the Capitals. That's a lot of minutes. And he's been putting up really quality floors. The last 3 games now combined, he's put up 10 DraftKings points, and his price has not moved. If Taylor Fedun is out again, McCabe's also playing power play 2 minutes. So there's just nothing to not like about him. The minutes are there, the shots are somewhat there, the block shots are there, and there's also point upside on the power play too. So there's a ton of good cheap options. I do like Demers a lot as well. McCabe. Any thoughts on McCabe before I jump over to one more guy?
Yeah, no, I think he's a really good play. He's only 3,100, and yeah, he's getting a ton of minutes. So, yeah, you can keep going.
All right. Maybe the sleeper special. I've actually seen a lot of the sharper guys jump on this guy, and I wasn't really sure why. And then all of a sudden, it just sort of happened. It's Matt Irwin. for Nashville. Like I said, with Ellis out, we're actually seeing, new guys, kind of stepping up to fill those minutes. And so the last 3 games, Matt Irwin has averaged 21 minutes per game, and he's had at least 3 DraftKings points in each of them. He's only 3.3 as well. And so, I don't know much about his profile. But if he's going to be playing these minutes, it seems like actually the last 5 games now, he's averaged at least 3 DraftKings points, or he's averaging 3 DraftKings points per game. And so, just getting cheap defensemen like that and locking in 45 minutes for, just a shade over 6K, like, I think that you just do that and you use the rest of the money to spend up at center, spend up at winger, and you don't really worry about the defenseman. So,
in 18 games, he's at 13 iCourse per 60. So I think that's a really good pick.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like right around the league average, getting above league average minutes for, far below the league average salary. Like, I just wouldn't overlook it. So, yeah, I think
sure.
that'll just about do it, unless we see some, morning skate news. So keep an eye on our Twitter account. So lastly, we will go to goalies.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so Corey Schneider jumped up 900 since the last time he played. I did notice that because I thought he was a decent play against Chicago last time out when he started at 7.1. Now he's 8K. I don't know. I don't really want to do it. So just scrolling through the list, is there any goalies that jump out at you right away, or maybe the low totals?
Yeah, I don't really know who I'm going to go with. I think look at Vegas lines like I always do, but probably whoever's going to play for Nashville against Colorado. I think that's a good game. There's going to be shots, but Colorado's so bad right now. They play a slow pace, but as far as getting the win, and I think that they're going to have some shots. They're going to generate some shots. So that's probably where I would lean right now.
Man.
But honestly, I have to wait. I mean, that line movement can be a pretty invaluable tool leading up to the start of the games to see what kind of goalies you want to play. And especially with how similarly all the goalies' prices are, I find it really easy to plug in a slightly overpriced goalie, make a lineup, and then wait and see if I want to switch my goalie out at the last minute. My best strategy that I've been using recently is you want to wait in the goalies and see where the smart money is and things like that. So
yeah, I mean, I was feeling good about my Braden Holtby fade, as I saw the line jump up to like minus 240 for the Capitals. And as I wrote actually in my Fantasy Insiders piece for Monday, I wrote I think the smart money is going to go on the Sabres in this game. So keep an eye out for that. And, what do you know? An hour before lock, it goes from minus 240 to minus 200, almost just within 30 minutes. So I was feeling all good.
Because everyone read your article.
Well, yeah, obviously. So the Sabres took the lead. They were cruising. And then, they buffaloed it. The Bills, the Sabres just blowing leads left and right. So, I think that the process was there, though. And, seeing that, the line was moving against Washington. So, maybe get off their goalie, even though they were, still huge favorites. The movement kind of indicates more than the actual line does, in my opinion.
Yeah, especially close to game time like that. But
yeah,
okay.
So
yeah, no,
I think if you
sounds good to me.
If you want one, if you want one guy from me, I think that the one guy I'm interested in is Roberto Luongo if he goes again tonight. James Reimer could also go in his stead as, the backup in a back-to-back. And, they're fairly cheap, 7.2 on DraftKings. So, yeah, if you want one guy, that's, my interesting call right now. But like I said, keep an eye on Vegas and whatnot, as there's no line posted for the Florida Philly game right now or for the Chicago Arizona game. So, we're kind of in the dark on what exactly is going to take place in that game.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Is there anything else?
I do not think so. Thanks to Doug for joining me at last minute notice. I know you have finals tomorrow, so go out there and get it done. Shout out to DJ for leaving us in the dark and working on papers or something, because, finals week is tough for everyone, DJ, not just you. So hopefully listen to this.
And you guys don't, and he doesn't even have finals week yet, I'd like to say, right?
Right.
I'm pretty sure Ohio State's finals week are a week earlier, but
that's right.
Yeah. But also check out our Twitter at Morningscape Pod for guaranteed goals almost every single night, because I just want to mention it because we had yesterday on our guaranteed goals and sort of today too, right?
I'm looking right now, but I know my guys did well. I had Kane, who didn't do well, and Atkinson, who, he didn't score. You had Ovi.
Never mind, just me.
Yeah, you had Ovi, but Terrace was a pretty good call. And then DJ had Malkin and Saad, and Malkin smashed, and Saad had a respectable outing. So, yeah, I mean, definitely that's just sort of like the accumulation of all of our research and whatnot. So that's kind of a good way to wrap up like a research process, just by getting, the strongest takes from other people. Like I like to follow some of the people that I trust for NHL, and I kind of see who they're talking about, who they're, talking up. So, stay tuned to our Twitter feed. Thanks for listening, guys. Be sure to go over to iTunes if you like this and leave us a review. We also have a Stitcher page, so if you could leave us a review and a rating over there too, that would be awesome. Again, thanks to Doug. Thanks to the listeners. Have a good slate, everyone, and we will see you.